Hi, I'm Vicki Hoth, Education Coordinator for Handi Quilter. I'm doing this series to present the new features of the HQ Pro Stitcher being released June of 2013. I want to show you how to do a triangle, and we have a lot of setting triangles, different triangles in our quilting. So I want to show you how the easiest way that I find to do a triangle. There's a couple of different tools that you can use, but I'm going to show you one that I find to be the easiest. So I've created my area of my triangle that would be on my quilt, going into my file, open up my file and in my triangles, and I'm going to use this leaf bouquet for my first attempt and see how it works. The first thing I like to do is I like to orient it to the triangle that I have. So I want to rotate it so it's in the right orientation. The next thing is I'm going to use the skew and align, but rather than skewing it to this area, I am going to use the alignment tools. And I want to align it to this wall of my triangle and to this wall. So this, as you see these little buttons here, this shows that that's the wall I'm going to align it to. Okay, we know it's too big, but we can work with that. The next one is I'm going to align it to the top. So I'm going to use the vertical top button. Now what it's done is it's like stuck it to those two walls, and it's not going to move as long as I have it aligned there. Now I can take my resize, and with lock aspect turned on, so it'll resize it proportionate, I am going to make it smaller. And if your triangle is not, your piecing's not accurate, you may have to turn your lock aspect off and resize either the height or the width. But you can see that I've got both the height and the width lines are darkened, so you can see that's what I'm going to resize it. So it's going, oh, it went perfect in there. Let's refresh that so we can see that. That went perfect, but possibly sometimes my design or my area is not real perfect, and I may have to do a little rotation. This one looks pretty good, so I really don't need to do any rotation. I could make it a little bigger if I want to. Nope, that's too big, but I could, if I want this to go right to that edge of the area, I could actually type in maybe 2.8 and made it a little bigger. Nope, that was too big. So maybe it's 2.78, and it went right, just on perfect, right on there. Okay, now let's try a different triangle. Let's go to our file and close this one. Let's bring in with something that has lots of plump feathers. Okay, I need to orient this. Now, this, I want this base of the triangle to be along, of the design to be along this base. So I need to rotate so that it is, again, skew and align it to those walls, and then go to resize. Lock aspect is on, so we're just going to make this smaller. Okay. Now, if I'm not happy with the way it's positioned, it's touching here, and I could make this a little smaller, and then I can actually go into my reposition, or I could just use this drag, and I can touch on the screen and actually drag this and adjust that. Now, I can see how that looks. That looks pretty good. It's got the same spacing all the way around, and I'm happy with my placement. If I'm not, I can use my nudge tools, or I can even make a smaller nudge, which I like to do the 0.01. So it's a really small nudge, and then you can nudge it really small and get the way you want it. So there, it looks pretty nice in there. Let's try another design. And before we try this design, though, I want to show you how some designs have the design itself that would come right out to the corner. And so let's go back to resize and make this just a little bit bigger. Right, nope. Now, one thing that you can see here is that I have some other lines. And since I have rotated this design, I can actually resize this design on those lines. So this is on the original, so I would make it higher. If I press that, I'm going to turn off lock and make it a little taller. Hey, that looked really nice, didn't it? Okay, I don't need to make it wider, because if I do, I know it's going to go, that plumpness is going to go outside, so I'll never be able to fill that up with this feather. But there may be a design, if you want this filled up, you'll have to choose the appropriate design to fill it up. But for me, this works. And did you see how I just made that just a little taller going that direction, and it filled it up more up into that point. So that's another function that's really nice to use. If I did want to use that and try, I can go up, but it went outside, so I'm going to go down. Maybe I'll want to make that, so it's making it narrow inside there, which that works too. So either way works, just so that it fits right inside there. Let's go in and bring in another design. So if we want to bring in a design that has the points, we're going to rotate, go to our skew and align, line to the top, again resize. Let's lock the aspect for a minute and make that smaller. Let's refresh it so it can be seen better. Smaller. And maybe I want to go on that, stretch it this way a little bit. It's there. Look how perfect it went right to the corners. So those buttons work really nice once you've rotated something to continue to work with the original height and width. So enjoy these new functions.